Bava Kama daf Memches Amud Beis. Memches Amud Beis. We are back in the middle of the page. Imichnis Boshus Balchotzer Chayev. 2 dots. Itmar, Machloikes, Rav, and Shmuel. Over here in the daf. Itmar, Rav Amar Hilchasa Ketanakama. Rav says Halacha is like Tanakama. That is to say, Tanakama is the one who said that when you accept responsibility without accepting responsibility, if you just said, yes, it's okay, yes, bring it in, what does it mean? It means that you're already in it. You put your foot in it. You are mechuyav, you are chroi. And Rav says that's a halacha. Shmuel Omar Ilchasa Kerebi. Shmuel says halacha is like Rebi. Shmuel says, "Loch is like Rebbe. If you accept it upon yourself and you did not say anything, nothing was said, nothing is clear, nothing was said. I will guard it, you will guard it. It said it's fine, okay. Meaning I have no complaints that you put it in my house. That's all it means according to Rebbe. It does not mean I'm responsible unless I accepted Shamira Befeirush. If I said clearly I will guard it, only then I'm mechuyev to guard it," says Rebbe. So who do you think halacha is like? Rav supports Tanakama and Shmuel supports Rebbe. Who do you vote for?
Rebbe.
Why Rav? Why Rav? Okay, very interesting. So Halacha is always like Shmuel when it comes to Nizikin, right? And most Rishonim say that's the name of the game. Shmuel is the winner when it comes to monetary laws. And therefore Halacha is like Rebbe, that if you did not, and that's what Shulchan Aruch says, if you did not accept it Mefurash explicitly, then you're not the guard, you're not responsible. However, to save your skin, Ellen.
The rabbis say that you accept the responsibility if you take it.
That's Rabbanon, but not Rebbe. Rebbe, not Rabbanon. Rebbe, the one. Rebbe Anossi. Rebbe the prince, as they call him in the Kiruv books. Yeah, Rebbe is the one whose halacha is like here because he supported Beshmuel. However, you have a point. Tosfos points out that in this sugya, a lot of the give and take, a lot of the discussion seems to be following Rabbanon more than Rebbe. In other words, like Rava, when Rava spoke in past and in future, Rava seems to be supporting Rabbanon. But other Rishonim reject it, and they say Rava was only, he only explained the opinion of Rabbanon. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean Allah is like him. So at the end of the day, Allah is like Shmuel, which means like Rebbe, as we always say. According to most Rif says that clearly. Now we have a brisa, which is a classical brisa of what we call, I'm going to write it down for you, stira ba'diyukim. 1 second, please. Stira ba'diyukim means there's a brisa that says something over here in the Resha, it says something else in the Seifa, and what happens is, if you learn the Resha very well, you're going to come to a certain Maskono, you derive something else regarding the middle of the road case. There's like a middle of the road hole between the two cases, and that middle of the road hole, that case not mentioned in the Brisa, is going to be contradictory. If you learn the ratio well, then that variable, the x in the middle, will mean one thing. If you read the Seifa, the end, then that variable in the middle will mean something else. That's a classical stira badiyukim. You're medaik the ratio, medaik the Seifa, the middle case is going to fall between the cracks. Or in Hebrew, we say fall between the chairs. In any event, that I'm just preparing you for the kind of brisa we're going to see, and there are going to be 3 different answers. Yes, Baruch?
Very with your words. You have to be very careful with your words. Whereas Rebbe was saying, if you're going to do that, you don't even know if you're going to be doing it.
Okay. Tono Bonon. Knois Shocho, case number 1. Knois Shocho v'Shamroi, says Mr. Nice Neighbor, friendly with a big smile on his face. Knois Shocho, yes, you can bring your shore into my yard. V'Shamroi, you guard it. Shamroi, your shore can be here, but you should guard it. I'm not in charge, mister. I'm cooking supper for my kids now, then I have a chavrusa. You guard your shore, yeah? Beseder. What?
You have to be there to guard it.
So you should be there. Right. Who? The shore owner is expected to be there, or he's shaliach 100%. Very good. Nachon. So then what happens? The responsibility is on who? Obviously, on the shore owner. is on the shore owner the responsibility. Izik chayev, if the shore was mazik I'm the balabais, and I have a dog. Yeah, so now the show bit my dog or gored my dog. Chayiv, he's chayiv, right? Who's akpotu? If my dog, my cute little Rottweiler, 15 years old, so nice, yeah, he bit the bull, then I'm potter. I told you, you're in charge. I don't know anything about your show, yeah? Your show runs around my dining room. That's nice enough. You're in charge of it. That's case number one. That's the reisha. Knos shorcha. Look at the end of the chart. Knos shorcha v'ani yeshmerenu. If I said clearly, outright, explicitly, black and white, mefurash, miyoytze mipiha kosuv, ani yeshmerenu, I will guard it. Yeah, like Yaakov Avinu told Lavan, I'll guard it. Then, who's the chayev? If my neighbor's bull was damaged by my Rottweiler or by anybody else's dog or anything, I'm chayev, I'm responsible. He's ikpotu, but if that nezek, if that shore caused nezek to others, then the shore owner is potter, which in very simple terms, I just made it simpler for you guys. Here, the responsibility is on the shore owner. When it's clearly marked and said outright, you guard it, you're responsible. In the seifa, I guard it, I'm responsible. Isn't life beautiful? No, well, life is beautiful, but difficult right now. What's going to happen now if nothing was said? If I just said, I was munching my sandwich, or even said, yeah, bring it in. It's okay, bring it in, bring it in. It's not clear. I didn't say I'll guard it, neither did I say you guard it. So what's the story? Ha gufa kasha. That as of itself, there's an inner contradiction in the brisa. Omalta, at the beginning you said in the Reisha Knos Shorcha v'Shomroi, Izikchayv huzakpotu Shomroi. You guard it, that means you're responsible on both ends of the stick. Time because the balabais told the shore owner, you guard it, mister. I'm not such a nice guy. I don't have time. You guard it. Then we say balashor is fully responsible. The owner of the yard, of the house, of the house owner is potu, because he said it outright. Hastomo. That is to say, if nothing was said, if things were left unclear, as many times as they are, then the balachotzer is chayiv and balashor is potu, right? Only when I clearly said you guard it, that is to say what? Who is responsible? The show. Mashma, if nothing was said, if I didn't say you guard, if I'm like Parev, in the Parev situation, Mashma, who's responsible? From here it's derived who? The Balabais is in charge, right? If nothing was said, Balabais. Only if I said clearly, you guard it, then you're in charge. If nothing was said, then I am the Balabais, I'm in charge, yeah? It's driving nuts. Okay, so why? The bistoma mikabil alein the tirusa. Stoma is nothing said, stam. Then we assume that the balabais accepts shmira upon himself, right? That is to say, balabais. That is like who? Rabbanon or Rebbe? Rabbanon. Very good, Ellen. Excellent. Rabbanon. So that brisa starts off by talking Rabbananese. Like Rabbanon, Ema Seifa, but look at the Seifa. Well, the question was very evident. The Seifa sings a different song. When I said I will guard it, I'm saying outright, explicitly, in front of 10 Eidim and 5 lawyers. I'm joking, yeah. Who's a chayv? He's ikpotu. Then what? Then if the animal was moved. So now we have a problem with the brisa, because the Seifa of the brisa said that only if the person says to his friend, the owner of the house, who's accepting, who's nice and willing to host the show, if he says, I will guard it, then he has to guard it and is responsible on any direction of hezek of any direction. That is to say, that if he did not accept full responsibility, if he kept shtum, as we say, if he didn't say anything, then he's not responsible. That follows Rebbe. Let's see it inside. Ason Rebbe, that follows Rebbe. The Omer Achi Kabel Leni Tirusa, Balabais Lishmo. Rebbe says, unless Balabais accepted upon himself clearly, then he's not a shomer. Then the problem is Reisha Rabbanon v'Seifa Rebbe. Reisha follows Rabbanon and Seifa is Rebbe. That's not good. 3 answers are coming now. Omar Rablozo. Rablozo answers as follows. Yeah. Omar Rablozo. Says Rablozo. Tavra. What's Tavra? Taf and Shin are interchangeable in Aramaic. Shavu. Shavu. What's Shavu? Broken. Yeah, Tavra, it's broken, and it's okay. I'm okay with that. Misha shono zu, loy shono zu. Whoever learned the first part did not learn the second part, and I'm cool about it, as cool as cucumber, says Rabbi Lozo. Rove Omar, and this is again Rove, who seems to be leaning more towards the Rabbanon direction. Kula Rabbanoni. The entire Brisa is Rabbanon. Wow. And the Reisha is what you should follow. What did the Reisha say? The Reisha said, only if you said to Mr. Guest, Mr. Show owner, you look after it, not me, I'm not responsible. Then, what do we say? Then the shore owner is responsible. But Stama, if nothing was said, nothing was clear, who's a shomer? According to Rabbanon, Baal Habais. Very good. And that's the real, so to speak, part of the Brisa. But the Seifa indicated otherwise. I can ignore the Seifa. Answers Rava, Kul Rabbanoni, the entire Brisa through and through is Rabbanon. But the Seifa is only stylistically different for stylistic reasons. I did the Nosiv Reisha Shomroi, since the Reisha said the word Shomroi, which means you guard it, and that is the important word. Only if I told the Baal Show, you guard it, he has to guard it. But otherwise, any case in the middle, I have to guard it. So what did the Seifa said? I guard it. I did the Nosiv Reisha Shomroi, because the Mishnah, the Raisa at the beginning said the word Shomroi, Tana Seifa B'ni Yishmerenu. The Seifa said, I will guard it in the second case, not because Ani Yishmerenu is a really important word. Even if Baal Habais did not say Ani Yishmerenu, it's the same thing. The words Ani Yishmerenu of the Sefer are redundant and in a way even misleading. So why did we write them? Because the Brisa, yes, likes to be symmetrical. In other words, since in the Reisha it says you guard, the Sefer, Mishnahs like to have like charts. I love making charts in case you haven't noticed, yeah? So, since welcome back. So then the Shmira, because the Reisha said, you will guard it, and that's V'davka, the Seifa maintained the same style to have it symmetrical. This is the mirror image of that. The mirror thing is what? I will guard it. But it's not really halachically so. Don't derive from the Brisa, only if I say I will guard, then you have to guard. Even if you didn't say it, you still have to guard. And the Metziasa, the middle of the road case, according to Rava, is like Rabbanon. Rava, he holds it's all like Rabbanon. Yeah? And the Seifa is not Meduyak. The Seifa is only there for stylistic reasons and lav dafka. Yeah, Rav Lozer said it's both, right? Rav Lozer said they're both right. Everyone's right. I love everybody, says Rav Lozer. And Rava says everything follows Rabbanon. And the Seifa, don't be medayek from the Seifa. Mishnais, you should know, by the way, if you don't understand why, the Tiferes Yisrael says, and I've seen it by others, Mishnais are, even Mishnais, not only Brises, are not so meduyak, are not so halachically correct. Outright, it says it in many places, because, in many places, because Mishnais were meant to be memorized. Mishnais were not written b'chtav. Mishnais are meant to be memorized b'al peh. I mean, eventually, of course, they were, yeah? But Mishnais were meant to be memorized b'al peh. And each one had a different tune. Each cheder had like a tune, or each Rebbe had like a certain tune and rhythm of the Mishnais. So many times, in order to maintain the rhythm and the pace of the Mishnah, the music of the Mishnah, they had to add words or subtract or take away words, subtract words in order to maintain the style. Here too, for 10 years old, is learning Mishnahs, it's easier for him to remember. It's easier than just leaving a hole in the middle, and that's why the Mishnah is giving up on one thing in order to have the style easily remembered and memorized. Okay? No, that's according to Rava. Rava is Rabbi Lezer says no. Rabbi Lezer says stam. No, Rabbi Lezer says every word of the Mishnah is right. Rabbi Lezer says the Reisha is Rabban and the Sefer is Rebbe, and finished, and everything is good. Yeah, everything is nice. Mashenke and Lefi Rava, the entire Mishnah is Rabbanon. So the Sefer of the Mishnah is not so good, right? Why isn't that so good? Because we're just for stylistic reasons we added the word. Yeah, you can ask a question. Okay. Rav Pope, Rav Pope Omar, third answer to answer. Rav Pope Omar, Kula Rebbe, wow, the entire Mishnah is Rebbe. Now he's not saying the Reisha is Lav Dafka. He's saying something much, much more complicated. Not complicated, I don't like the word complicated to use in this Shiur. Rav Tarfon says the entire Brisa is Rebbe. Now the Reisha is in trouble. We're in trouble in the Reisha, right? What did we say in the Reisha? If I say you guard, then you are responsible. Mashma, if I don't say anything, I keep quiet, then I, the Baal Habais, I'm responsible. That's not good with Rebbe. And yet, Rav Papa wants to tell us that the entire Brisa is Rebbe. Let's see how he pulls that one out of his head. Says Rav Papa, remember Rav Tarfon? He's an old, new, protagonist in our story. What did Rav Tarfon say about a bull, tam, shotam, that gores in Roshus Nizak? Full damages, Ellen, you got it. Ellen is the star boy. Yeah, full damages, says Rav Tarfon in Daf Chav Daled. And yesterday, Rav Tarfon has his own shita that even a shotam, if he's a chutzpah and he gores in Roshus Nizak, then what? Then he's chayav full nezik. If he gores anywhere else, the tam, in the street or in his own or wherever, then what? Then he pays half. Says Rav Papa, this brisa is Rebbe with a touch of Rav Tarfon. Let's see how that works out. B'savalak Rav Tarfon. Rebbe believes Rav Tarfon Deoma. What did Rav Tarfon say? As Ellen said nicely, Keren b'chotza nizak, a Keren in the private domain of the damaged party. Nezek shalom mishalom has to pay full damages. Hilkach. Therefore, listen to that witty statement. Amar le shom roy. If he said, you guard it, mister, you guard it, that means to say what? Lo makni le mokom b'chotzel. Then the Baal Habais says, I'm in the middle of cooking supper, looking after my kids, and about to start Seder, and I'm busy, and I'm on the phone. You want your shore? You guard it. You should stay there, like Yitzchak said. Be there with your shore. I'm not giving you a place in my chotzel. When you are there with your shore, and stay there in the corner, please, of my merpeset, okay? And then I'm not giving you a place in my chotzel together with me. What does that mean? That really you are in your own domain, okay? And I am in my domain. You're not really part of the household now because you are the shomer. We're like two countries that border each other. We're like Israel and Jordan. So what? That is to say that now if your shore gored mine or gored my bulldog, he went from where? From your domain into my domain. He moved from his Dalad Ames, so to speak, into my place and gored my cutesy little bulldog, Then we say, you now did something super terrible according to Rab Tarfon. When we say you guard, you're responsible, that is to say you are fully responsible, you're 100% responsible, you're uber responsible to pay nezek shalom. That is only when I say you guard, you stay in your place and mine my place, and if you cross the imaginary border, you now cross the fence over here, the imaginary one, you pay nezek shalom. So you are responsible, means you're super responsible. However, loy omer le shomroi, what would be in the middle of the road case when nothing was said? What does Rebbe say? Nothing was said means what? I'm not responsible. You're responsible. True. You, the Baal Shor, you're still responsible, but aknuye akni lemokem b'chotzer. Dehave lechotzer shutfin. Wow. Which means, says up often like this. When I say, when I say, okay, bring it in without being clear, I'm okay with you being there, right? But it isn't, hey, you guard it. It means I'm not accepting responsibility, but on the other hand, I'm okay with the shore being where? In my domain. So now your shore and my shore are keilu in a common domain of both of us, because I didn't say you guard it in a very yakish, my home is my castle kind of attitude. I said, I didn't say you guard it. I said, okay. Okay means that, I don't expect myself to guard it, but I'm very okay with the shore being here. So we are like shutfim together. That mirpeset, when both bulls are running around, or the bulldog and the bull, they're together in the same shutfin, the same partnership area. The keren b'chotzer shutfin and mashal mechatzi nezek. That's the stoma. The middle case, that variable, the x in the middle, that variable in the middle, doesn't mean that if I didn't say you guard, then I'm responsible. No, you're responsible, but you're a bit less responsible. These are grades in responsibility. You're as responsible as your shore in a common domain of both of us. He didn't trespass into my place, and therefore you got to pay only half, even according to Rav Tarfon. Genius. Shem Kamayu, and that's Rav Papa's solution. Shall I repeat or continue? Or hear your words of wisdom? I'll repeat Rav Papa. Rav Papa says as follows. It's true, the entire Mishnah is Rebbe. The entire Mishnah from A to Z is Rebbe. There's a song like that, yeah? The whole thing is Rebbe. Elamai, the Resha that says, only if I say you're responsible, then you're responsible. No. What I meant to say is, if I say clearly, outright, you are responsible, that is to say, let me start the other direction. Let me start again. It's a new idea that came to mind in yours, Chus. According to Rebbe, I'm asking you a question now. Yeah? Yes, Akiva? Why does he have to say you guard it, according to Rebbe, right? Anyways, even if I kept quiet, anyhow he has to guard it, right? The Baal Show. I'm the owner of the house. Why do you waste word by saying you guard it? Is it an amoretz? No. When I say you guard it, I'm trying to say you are super responsible, not just regular responsible. When I say you guard it, that is to say, I'm okay with it being here because it feels low naive for the neighbor, and therefore what? You guard it, but I'm not really makni your place in my place. I'm not makni your place in my merpeset. You guard it, and anything your shore does automatically means kilut entered a different domain. Entered my domain of the balabais, of Talfan, that's nezek shalom. The middle case would be when nothing was said, that is to say, I'm not responsible, but I'm really okay with it being here. I'm like giving you a place in my place. So it's all one play area combined and owned by both of us. In that case, of course, you have, if you did something, I'm not responsible because it didn't explicitly say so. You're responsible, but you're as responsible as Chotzo Shutzim. You only have to pay half of Talfon. The third case, clearly, the third case, if I said, and only if I said, I'm the Balabas, and I said, Ich guard it, I will shomer it, then we say that I'm responsible, and otherwise no, Kedas, Rebbe, Akudosh. And that's the end of the story. Up to the next Mishnah. Question time, commercials. We should really sell some shore food over here or something, yeah? Yeah, I insist. Heilige Mishnah, Mem, Ches, Amud, Beis. Moach, we're at the end of the Moach. Says the Mishnah, back to the shor. Shor now goring a pregnant woman, naughty boy. Shor miskaven lechavero. A shor wanted to hit its friend. Yeah, Joey and Bully are having a fight. The shor wants to gore his friend. V'ikos ha'isha, all of a sudden, whoop, he didn't mean that. There was a pregnant woman, and he gored the pregnant woman. The yotzei yeladah, and she aborted the children. The children came out. He doesn't have to pay the money of the vlodos, which is all parsha in the Torah. What happens if a man hits a pregnant woman? It's a parsha in the Torah. He has to pay the vlodos. Yeah, in certain cases, he has to pay the money, the actual monetary value of the unborn babies. If that woman was a shifcha, every person is judged as if he was an eved or if she was a shifcha. How much would you pay for such a person? So a woman who's pregnant is worth more than a woman who's not pregnant. There's potential babies, right? And also she looks heavier, and that's better in the eyes of some people. Looks like more of a stout person. We'll discuss that later. But right now, if the shol gored the woman, then he's potu, the owner of the shol, potu from the vlodos. If she herself was injured, which assumes she was, of course he has to pay nezek. Does he have to pay also for putting the woman to shame and medical expenses and not going to work as a top lawyer for a month? Yes or no? Quick, I expect a quick answer. I'm sorry, this is online. I'm going weiter. Yeah. Very good. So if there was nezek, he's going to pay only the nezek. The Adam, there was a person, a person meant to hit his friend, actually kill his friend. Now he injured the woman and the babies came out. He has to pay dmei vlodos. Yeah, he has to pay dmei vlodos. He has to pay for the babies also. Now, we're not dealing now with Kimla b'Rabba Minei. If he wanted to kill, let's say, another Jew and he killed her, according to Reb Shimon, he's potu. Yeah, and the Rambam paskins that way, remember? And therefore, you have to pay for the babies because there's no kimli. There's no kimli. because he wanted to kill and killed somebody else, you're potter, if you're Reb Shimon. So you have to pay for the babies. According to Rabbanon, if you meant to kill Tim McKenzie, I think Tim is a nice guy, but somebody wanted to kill Tim McKenzie and kill Barely Uncle, then what? Then he doesn't have to die for killing Barely Uncle or Prince Abela, and then he does not pay, he does pay for the babies because there's no kimla, because it doesn't die. Don't worry about this. It's obviously part of the Mishnah, but it's not the main part of the Mishnah. Yeah, the main part of the Mishnah is to say that a bull never, as we're going to see in the Gemara, the bull never pays for the babies. Not even if he meant and aimed for the woman. That we'll see later. And we've seen that before. A bull, one of the things he doesn't pay, or an animal, a Rottweiler, or a giraffe, I don't care who, an animal, just like doesn't pay for Tzali, Pushevis, and Boishes, does not pay for the babies that he aborted. Okay? Now, the one who does pay Vlodos, let's say the person, how do you assess them? How do you measure? How do you assess? How do you evaluate the value of the Dmei Vlodos? Now the Mishnah is going to say something misleading, and the Gemara is going to correct it. Shamin Saisha, you evaluate the woman. Kama hiyofa actually oldo. How good is she? How expensive is she, or she would be in the job market before birth? Become hiyofa misha oldo. Again, we're not talking here about a secretary or a lawyer or a doctor. We're talking here about, let's say, a woman who's there to be a slave, to be a shifcha. So we assume that before she gave birth, she's worth more. There's potential babies, and also, yeah, the Baal Bai says, maybe she's only 2 months pregnant, so, but hopefully, Meretz Hashem, there will be a nice birth. I'm going to get the potential baby together with a woman. Plus the fact that the woman, she looks fatter and bigger, she looks like more stout, she looks like she's stronger, funnily enough, and therefore she's worth more in the job market than a woman is not pregnant. So to evaluate the wife with or without the babies, that difference of the value of the woman herself, that's what you have to pay. The Gemara is going to discuss that, but I'm just translating the Mishnah now. Amar Reb Shimon Gamliel does not agree with that and says, if so, if so, when the woman gives birth after birth, the woman is worth more. That's what he says. So the Gemara is going to explain why. Reb Shimon Gamliel says a woman before birth, especially in backward countries, I'm sorry to say, and be a racist, but in backward countries, many women, they die at birth, and the babies die at birth. So a woman before birth is at risk. A woman after birth, she says a goimel, right? After birth, she's out of danger. So Shimon says it's just the other way around. A woman who's pregnant is worth less than a woman after birth, right? So he wants to say the other way. How that works out, we'll see in the Gemara. Ella, so therefore says Shimon Gamliel, how do we evaluate the damage of the babies? You only evaluate the babies themselves. In other words, let's say I don't want to sell a pregnant woman as a shifcha. I only want to say she stays my shifcha. Let's say she was a shifcha, and I'm selling you the potential babies. How much would you pay for that? Yeah, I have a baby 2 months old. Look at the ultrasound, and what? He's 2 months old in the womb. Yeah, how much would you pay for it? However much you'd pay for that stage of baby as a slave owner, that amount of money is what you got to pay. Who do you pay to? V'noisen labal. Remember, we said that the Baal, the owner, and the father of the babies, even if not legally married, right? Even if they're, as long as he's physically the biological father, even if they're divorced, he goes to the husband/father. He's the one who gets the money of the actual vlodos themselves, which we've discussed before. V'men labal. Let's say there is no husband bichlal. He's just not around because he died. There is no husband. No, it's only Yoshov. You give it to his Yorshim, not to her Yorshim. You give it to his Yorshim. To his heirs. Let's say she was a free slave. She was a shifcha, and now she's been already freed, which means that she has a status as a giyoris. Or let's say she's a real giyoris. Yeah, she is a nice American lady who ended up in Esha Torah and she did giyur. Yeah. And therefore, then he's potur. Why is he potur from paying? Because we assume that lady has no children. This woman has no children. That's her first pregnancy. If she has no children, and she and her husband, says Rashi, are both gerim. If her husband is Jewish from birth, is there a thing called JFB? Jew from birth. If her husband is JFB, not JFK. Yeah, JFB is Jew from birth, and then, of course, you pay the husband. But Lamaisa, says Rashi, most cases, says Rashi, ger marries a gioris. It's more common for two gerim to marry each other, and then if the husband died and the woman dies, both of them are dead, and are no Yorshim, there's nobody to pay to because Gerem that died, there's no ancestry, there's nobody to give the money to, and then the guy who hit them, unfortunately, gets to keep the geld. Quick one. Yeah. Done. There's the Gemara. Frag the Gemara. Time of the miskaven lechaveroi. You told me in the Mishnah that if a bull was aiming to his friend, the other bull, and then by mistake, by fluke, he hit the woman. That's why he's potu. That's why he's exempt from giving the vlodos. Hamiskaven leisha. You want to tell me that if he aimed for the woman and he's a good, he did what he wanted. He got his aim. You want to tell me that if he aimed for the woman and hit the woman and the babies came out, does he pay in that case? Is that so? That would be a big question from the Mishnah to the Amoiro called Avada Barava, which we've learned recently. We learned it in Daf Memches, Membeis. Yeah, around Membeis Mem Gimel. Domer Avada Barava. Shvorim sheniskavu la'isha. Bulls that aimed to hit the woman, yeah, why is that? Remember? It says kinotsu anoshim v'lo shvorim. It says if people fight, not bulls. And there was another one. Remember Baal Shol Noki? The words Baal Shol Noki has many implications. That's one of them. Baal Shol Noki tells you the owner of the shore is clean, is exempt from paying the vlodos. If so, our Mishnah seems to be misleading. Because he didn't aim right. No, even if he aimed right and got it right, he's a good, not sniper, he's a good aimer, whatever. He got it right. He's still potter. So why is the Mishnah saying only otherwise? No, don't get excited. Ravada Barava himself takes care of himself. He gives the answer. Even if they meant for the woman, the shore knows exactly what he wants. What does he do? He hates that woman, the pregnant one, and he gores her, and the babies come out. He's still potu because of the psukim we mentioned. The Mishnah. You know why we spoke about a shore in the Mishnah that aimed to the bull and mistakenly got the woman? You know why that's the case we portrayed in the Mishnah? I did the Kabbalah mitni seifa adam shemiskaven lechaveroi. Because the Sefer of the Mishnah talks about a man that aimed to hit his friend and by mistake got the woman, because only then he pays for the vlodos. There's no kimlei. The hachik siv kro, and that's actually the case mentioned in the Torah. Ki notzu anoshim ki osav v'nogfu isha horo. They mistakenly got it. They had a fight in the bar, and there was the pregnant lady there. Boom, got the wrong direction. That's the story of the people, of the human beings, because that's a sefer. Tani reisha nami, the reisha again. Shor miskaven lechaveroi. Again, my friends, twice. Twice the same day, we see the same concept. Mishnayos like to keep some kind of symmetry. Because the Seifa has to talk about a man that aimed towards X and got Y, Mimela the Reisha talks about a similar case, even though it's not so precise, even though it's a lav dafka. Mishnayos like to keep things symmetrical so people can memorize and remember and don't have to, be medayik too much all over the place. Okay? Quickly, yes, a quick, a schnelle. Yeah, you can ask.
Why wasn't the content of the Sefer?
Okay, now, Amar Pope comes with another halacha related to our Mishnah. Shor shenogach is a shifcha. A shor gored, not a free woman, a regular woman who we assess in the sum bababa. He actually gored a real shifcha, real life shifcha knainis. Yeah, a woman slave knainis. The yotzu yeladeh, and the kids came out. She has a child which she aborted. Mishalim dmei vlodos. There, he pays for the vlodos. Wow, interesting. By a free woman, he doesn't pay anything. But if you go to shifcha, he has to pay. Why? Oh, a shifcha is more than a giveres. Why? My time. What's the reason? What?
You're causing a risk to somebody. There's a financial loss.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing today and every day. And says the Gemara says it in a sharper way. He gored a pregnant donkey. Just like had you been goring a pregnant donkey, you'd have to pay, just like you broke my table. There's a nezik, yeah? You have an unborn donkey, or you have a table, you have a computer, you sure has to pay, like an object. Because the pasuk says 2 weeks parsha, 2 weeks ago in the parsha, you sit over here with a chamo. Says Avram Avinu to Ishmael, even Eliezer, the big tzaddik, but still like a chamo. Am hadoim el chamo. Am hadoim el chamo, because the Shifcha Knainis is not fully Jewish. Mimela status or status is like a chamo. Mimela, any object you hit, you gotta pay, regardless of anything else. By a woman, there's a special exception. By a woman, when you dafka, funnily enough, when you cause loss of life to the baby, then we say, oh, then you have psukim, stories, you know, shanoshim, v'lo shvorim, v'lo shonoki, go. But when it comes to stop goring any object or any animal, an Eved in that respect is the same. By the way, don't get me wrong, if somebody kills an Eved, he gets killed. Because Eved Knani is Jewish enough to be considered that you're not allowed to kill him like a regular Jew. But Lamaisa, he's also owned, as you nicely said, he's owned by the owner, like a chefetz, like a chefza. Mimele, you have to pay. Ketzad Mishalim Dmei Vlodois. Oh, now we are in the first Wadlan. Ketzad Mishalim Dmei Vlodois. We said in the Mishnah, how does the person, any questions? Not really. You okay? Yeah? Oh. Ketzad Mishalim Dmei Vlodois. You listen to how the Mishnah is inconsistent. I recommend you go back to the Mishnah for a minute. The Mishnah said in the second line of the Mishnah, second line from the bottom of the page of Mem Ches Amud Beis, Ketzad Mishalim Dmei Vlodois. How do you pay for the value of who? Of the actual Vlodois. Look at the ultrasound, that little cutesy baby inside. How much you pay for him? And then what was the answer? We evaluate the woman, how much she's worth before and after. That's not the right answer. Because really there are two separate accounts over here. There is, let's say I want to sell you just the babies. That's one cheshbon. I keep the shifcha. When she'll give birth, like Loleinu surrogate mother is a face, I'm not comparing that, but another mishigas, yeah? The mother stays here, and the babies are sold to another person. They do it in very advanced countries. Don't look at me, right? So, Mimela, what? How much is the baby worth? X amount of money, right? Now, the woman herself, if you want to sell her before and after pregnancy, she's worth more when she's pregnant and less later. But that's two different cheshbonos. The Mishnah seems to be inconsistent. It's asking one thing and answering the other. So, frag the Gemara, the Mevlodois. Or there's a girsa, the question should be the Mevlodos and Shvach Vlodos, because the answer spoke about her value as the Shvach, as the, how do you say Shvach in English, the not a praise, the added value, thank you, the added value to the fact that she's pregnant, by the being pregnant. And it says, the Mishnah here is not meduyak. The correct way of reading the Mishnah is, how do you pay for both the money of the baby and the shvach vlodos, the value that he added to the woman? There are two separate cheshbonos you got to pay. And to value the babies is easy. You go to the market and you see how much is an unborn baby worth in the slave market. And what about the woman? The woman herself is a separate cheshbon. You evaluate her before and after the birth. Says Rashi, now, who do you give the babies to? The money that the babies are worth, if she's a free woman, you give the father, the biological father. Now, what about the nezek? Now, the fact that she's worth less before and after the birth, yeah, then we say that's a separate cheshbon of her value. And there's a third one, and that is the fact that she's damaged. In other words, let's say she wouldn't be pregnant, and somebody gored her stomach, now she's bleeding from the stomach, and she needs a nice 2 weeks in hospital, and damage. That's a separate cheshbon. That's a third payment, which right now we're not talking about, right? There's the babies who came out. There's the fact that she's not pregnant and therefore worth less. And there's a third thing, and that is simple nezek, yeah? Forget whether I'm pregnant or not, or a man or a woman. The fact there was nezek, that's a third one. And that is also, it's a chabala, that is something that the woman gets part of it and the husband gets part of it. That's discussed in ksubas. Just regular nezek, like any nezek down to any human being. I'm just saying, Rashi points that on the side. Says Reb Shimon Gamliel, yeah, we are now quoting the Mishnah's last part, yeah, in the fourth wide line. Says Reb Shimon Gamliel, if so, if we follow your logic, then if the woman gives birth, she's worth more. Says the Gemara, my Kama, what does he mean? It's not true. Tanna Kama didn't say that she's worth less when she's pregnant. He says that. Rashbag says, but he says, im ken, meaning like, if so, sounds like he's following their words. He's not following their words. Answers the Gemara, this is what Rashbag really meant. Is that true? Im ken is, are you guys really correct? Are you serious? You want to tell me that a woman is worth more before birth than after birth? No, a woman is worth more after birth, according to him, than before birth, because she's in a sakana. When she's pregnant, she's going to have the trauma of birth, as they call it today, and she may die. So I'm not going to buy a pregnant shifcha. Maybe I want the vlodas just in case, but she's at risk, so I'm not buying her. That so says Rashbag. Ella, therefore, says Rashbag, argues on Tanna Kama, says no, shamanis of vlodos. Really, there is no devaluation of the woman. Forget about the woman herself. I'm a koifer in all concept of shvach vlodos, of shvach of the woman. I don't think the woman herself becomes better or worse, or actually she's getting worse when she's pregnant. So the only thing that has to be paid is what? The babies. The babies themselves, that's the only thing around. That's the only game in town. You got to pay for the babies that you killed. As simple as that. And you give it to the hubby because that's what Allah prescribes to give it to the husband. Tani Namiachi, quickly, just one more line, let me throw in. Tani Namiachi, brisa that supports what we just said. Is the woman better before birth and after birth? A woman is better, is worth more after birth when she's safe and sound. And she said a goimel, she didn't die at birth. Baruch Hashem, she's worth more. She's not at risk anymore, more than before. Ela shomenis of vlados v'noisin labal. But you give the vlados to the Baal, and that's about it. And of course, nezik. Nezik is just not discussed. Nezik is like a little box we have in the mind. In the side, nezik has nothing to do with pregnancy or schmegnancy or man or woman. Stam, she's bleeding, and therefore she needs treatment, or she's worth less. That's an under husband. That is what we say now. Would like to continue, but because of a lack of time, we'll finish here. Thank you very much. Yishar Koyach, and I have a lot of charts to upload, including today's. I hope I get it. I get to it. I also have to join to Shiur. Anyway, thank you. Have a great day. Kol Tov. See you at yourshiur.com. Thank you. Good Shabbos.